What?
We have to lock in, dude.
We
We have to lock in. First of all, we have the little old fashions.
All
That's
right.
what we're drinking today. Love you so much.
Love you so much.
I appreciate
We appreciate
the audience
you.
and the people listening. Thank you so much. Oh, that's good. So I think the energy today is a bit anxious on our behalf because we're gonna be really negative. But you had something that you wanted to say.
I have some things I want to say. So I am not enjoying the Veilguard in a way that is truly deeply upsetting to me. And I know that there is a lot of criticism of this game from multiple fronts that is unfair. There was a lot of reactionary, bigoted opinions about the game because they're simple things like there being the ability to be a trans character and and a trans character being in the game. So I get that there's a lot of defensiveness out there about this game because a lot of the criticism has been that kind of unfair. And a lot from people who clearly haven't played the Dragon Age series. I want to remind everybody that not only am I not that as a queer person, as a non-binary person, and as a person who has loved this series to abstraction, it would not be exaggerating to say that this is not only my favorite video game series, this is the only video game series to me. So the fact that I will have a lot of negative things to say, I want you to just remember that that's coming from a place of deep, like, heartbroken disappointment in some of the parts of this game, and the fact that it has not lived up to what my expectation of this series is, especially having just replayed the first 3 games and been viewing them through someone's eyes, like, for the first time, and seeing how much we've lost. So I just want that to be, I want you to give me a fair shake on this, that I am not coming at this like the criticisms that I have of this game will not be from obviously from a like bigoted standpoint. This is just a really real disappointing feeling. So I want you to forgive me for that. And also, if you're enjoying the game and hearing me be negative about it is upsetting to you, I am sorry.
We have said that we are going to have a bit at the end of this episode where we talk about we talk only about the things that we liked. We said we have a bit of a redeemable where we have 10 minutes at the end where we only talk about positive things.
I don't know if we are going to do it at there are things
we're going to talk about things that we like throughout, but
and I will talk
exclusively
about that too.
There'll be like a positive moment at the end.
Okay.
That being said,
what is this?
Hi, my name is Robin. I have played the first 3 Dragon Age games and Act 1 of the Veilguard.
Hi, my name is Dillin. I have played all 3 of the first Dragon Age games and the first act of Veilguard. Whew, here we go.
Okay. So we did all of Act 1. I know that we said that we would try to have it more spread out. In terms of what we were gonna
we were gonna try to do like more broken down chapters, but every time we did what we found online to be chapters, like the parts, they were all seeming so small.
Real
and
short.
Not a lot is happening in any of these quests. So we just kept kind of it just felt like we just kept like checking off these things, and every time we got to a part where we initially were going to start recording again, we were like, nothing has happened. What are we going to talk about?
And that's good, because us playing this game is going to take approximately a month, about 4 episodes.
Yeah.
We've got prologue, Act 1, 2, 3, but then we might have an additional episode in case things get like Act 2 takes too long, but who knows?
We'll see.
Because I'm moving tomorrow, so it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it could change.
But I am so glad we decided to do all of Act 1, because if we took this in a Dragon Age Origins style, we were going to do like smaller chapters, rather than the Dragon Age 2, we do all of Act or whole Act. This would be hell, I think. We would be so fucking negative for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I'd rather us just take it out.
Yeah. Okay. So
we start. We meet. We leave the lighthouse and we meet the Veil Jumpers. New faction that I think is a good, cool faction.
Yeah, no, I like the Veil Jumpers a lot.
As we said, last time, it was the Veil Jumpers are a good. It makes sense as to why they're a new faction.
Yes,
and I think that's cool, and I like them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, hey, we have someone, Balara, who you can go meet, who will help you. There's a problem with...
We have an Alluvian at the lighthouse, but it so far is only able to take us like back and forth to one place. And we need to be able to like do what Solus could do, and we need to be able to get all over the crossroads and everything. So we find this this Veil Jumper Balara, who is apparently really good at fixing artifacts. That's her whole
that's what she's been doing for the past like a decade since 8 years, I guess, since the Inquisition.
Yeah
What? Explain that face to me. No, stop. Explain the face.
Because the idea that this person has been doing anything for 10 years is absolutely bonkers suggestion, because she just turned 12 this year.
Oh, it's starting. It's starting. We are being very kind and we're attempting.
So we meet Balara.
And we're with Nev. Because both of us picked Harding, and Harding is still injured.
Correct.
So Harding has to stay behind with the Veil Jumpers, and then we take Nev, and then we meet Balara. We get put in we find ourselves in this like bubble, this weird elven bubble that we can't leave, and we need to disable an artifact.
Yes.
In a weird thing that I thought would be a plot point, like, oh yeah, there are these bubbles that are popping up. I keep thinking
things are going to be plot points. I do keep thinking
that.
And then they keep not being.
We go through all this old elven place. We see a lot of Darkspawn, which is like, oh shit, which is a thing, because when I picked Grey Warden as my thing, I didn't think I'd be seeing any Darkspawn. I was like, oh, well, clearly there's going to be Darkspawn in this game, because the Grey Warden trait is that I do extra damage to Darkspawn. I was like, but how relevant is that going to be? Turns out exceedingly
super relevant.
So relevant. We see Darkspawn. They're new and evolved and being weird, and there's blight cysts everywhere. And
the blight cysts, which is a like theme in the game, which I think is I don't hate. I think that so basically, like, all right, you know what? Let's get through the companions and then we'll get to the plot. So we meet Balara. Balara is what in the fan fiction world we would call a cinnamon roll. She's
most characters are that as companions.
I would say that
she's the one.
She's the cinnamon roll character. There's a lot of cinnamon roll happening in the companions, and that is a thing that is a point of contention for me.
When saying you want to get through the companions, do you literally just want to skip and just do all of the companions and then kind of roll back to?
Yeah, I think so. Let's get through who our crew is.
We do Balara. It turns out this bubble, because this is relevant to Balara. This bubble is is being made by this ancient artifact, which is an archive spirit that has been put into this crystal. Then the crystal gets a chip in it because of quirky hijinks. That's relevant for Balara because she fixes it a lot. That's a big part of her story. We then the blight is bad. I'm going to skip that.
Parts of the crossroads have been corrupted by blight, so there are places we can't go yet. The gates have been like locked shut by blight
stuff.
Yeah. Blight is now a thing that the gods control and invented and basically when they got locked away, only a little bit of it got out, and that's why we have blights in the world the way that we've known them for the past 3 games. Now the original blight is coming back under the gods' control, and this is what that is like. So whatever, that's fine, I guess. It's a little bit like,
we know how blight started. Wasn't the architect the guy who I wanted to be mentioned?
Yeah,
he was the one who originally started blights, right? Oh no, he started archdemon stuff.
He started which blight I can't remember, but he started a blight because he had the intention. He
started the third blight, the third one in Origins.
That's the 5th blight. I think that he
started the one in Origins.
Then that's the 5th blight. Yeah.
Okay.
So he started that blight because he thought that he could. I think he thought he could control it or something like that, right? He thought he could.
Yeah, because it was a contained one rather than a big awful one, and he was making Darkspawn. Well, no, it was an accident, I think, because he was trying to control the Darkspawn by having them be sentient.
Yes.
But then he created the mother who ended up going feral, and then was like, oh, well, why don't we just kill everyone upstairs rather than doing that? And it was a very cool, good plot line, and Awakening is the best.
Yeah.
I love the Awakening.
Okay. So it's a little bit hand wavy, but it's fine. It's fine.
But we'll get onto this in a second.
We'll get there.
Because then I went to go see Lucanus. Lucanus. After, because we were like, okay, we have to start building a team and we need an assassin. You can go assassin or dragon killer, and I went assassin. Nope, it's not that. You can go assassin or undead friend. I think is the 2 that you have. Yes.
I think I did that order because we have Nev. We meet the other shadow dragons in Minrathous. But Nev is already in your party from the jump. Then you go and
you have a great mission.
You have a great mission in Minrathous. The first mission with the shadow.
Oh, I was thinking the one with Lucanus, who is in the underwater.
Oh, and that one's great too. Yes. Lucanus, we have to go. That's an Antivan Crow mission. So I did that. I did do that one first.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Because I am an Antivan Crow.
You essentially do a jailbreak in this cool underwater like prison.
Beautiful. Again, restating from my opinion still stands from last episode. Every single location design is stunning.
Very, very, very
every
pretty.
City, every location we go to, they're all brilliant.
Turns out he has a spite demon in him.
Yeah.
And can do cool like wing stuff and
why does Spite have wings? Who knows? Who knows?
But it's cool.
And he had one cool scene where like Spite was talking next to him and we could see it, but our character Rook couldn't see it and no one else could. A thing which I do think is interesting, and it's interesting. I thought it was a really interesting scene, but it is, and we'll talk about this throughout the episode, I'm sure, but it has added to the sense that I am not Rook. I do not feel like I am playing the protagonist of this game. I feel like I am watching a movie, which I I think I felt a little bit in the beginning of the first time I played Dragon Age 2, but Dragon Age 2 does give you a lot of control.
It also explicitly tells you you're not making a character by you are a human, this is where you're from, pick your class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fine. And, again, this is coming off the fact that I think the story of DA2 is my favorite. All of the companions, all of the
Every
writing
companion
is so great.
Perfect. All the writing's amazing.
I think it's fucking outstanding. And I don't care that I didn't. I still think Hawk was mine though. Like
Hawk was mine. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, in the coming out of Origins, and I had played Origins and Inquisition when I went back to play 2 the first time.
Right. Okay.
So I had 2 games where I was like, I felt like I was really in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So when I first played 2 for the first time, I was a little bit like turned off by that at first.
Sure.
But by the end of the game, it had won me because I really felt like I was given a lot of choice and a lot of control over who Hawk became and the way that the dialogue develops.
And the way that the ambient dialogue switches because it clocks kind of what type of Hawk is.
Yeah.
And then in Inquisition, they still talk like you. It's crazy.
It was good.
Man, I wish that happened in this game. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Then you meet Emmerich.
Yes.
Who we did.
Emmerich, who is one of the best characters of all time.
Of all time is crazy.
I love Emmerich a lot. Okay. So we meet Lucanus, who is an Antivan Crow. We break him out of prison.
Yep.
Then
the first Talon gets
spite
murdered.
Yeah, the first Talon gets murdered.
The first Talon was really cool. We really liked her. We'll talk more about that when it comes to story because we're skipping through to do companions.
Yeah.
But I really liked her. I thought she was cool.
Yeah. I got Davrin next.
After Emmerich?
Yeah, before Emmerich. I got Davrin like real early.
Oh, I must have also then.
Yeah. Davrin is a Grey Warden. An elf Grey Warden who has a griffin that he's training, and a whole flock of baby griffins who the Grey Wardens were training in secret because we haven't seen griffins. We've heard about griffins. We know that griffins are a part of the Grey Warden history.
Yeah.
It's their whole sigil is a griffin. But the griffins have allegedly been extinct for ages. And now we have this like new flock of baby griffins that the Grey Wardens are secretly trying to train. And they get kidnapped by
Gloomhowler.
The Gloomhowler, which is apparently a thing.
Yeah. And then we go on and we meet. I'm going to say this right now. The energy between us is really eggshelly, and it's a bit weird.
Is it?
Yeah. We have to. Let's do the companions, and we can be eggshelly. And then when we get into story, we have to start saying our real thoughts.
Okay.
We're being so careful to not hurt anyone's feelings. And I appreciate and respect that. We have to start saying what we feel.
Well, I will say I do like Davrin. I liked Davrin off the bat. Davrin has a little bit of like a fun thing where he's like trying to train this griffin and he wants to be a little heavy-handed with it, but it's like a baby and he's like not.
He has a thing where he's trying to make a monster bestiary, and his comment is, well, monster bestiaries are made by mages who have never seen the monsters.
I did like that
corpses, a lot, and I think that's a cool storyline. It led to one of the more frustrating moments for me in terms of a dialogue
wise. I know.
But I think it's cool. I do like Davrin. I think Davrin it has a thing that I'm not sure why it's rubbed me the wrong way because he's so close to being so interesting. I think there are things that come up that like I warmed to him, but he's very like, he's just kind of a hero, and it's the thing which is the problem with all companions in this game, where no one has any rough edges. Everyone is the softest, kindest person, and it makes me want to scream. Yeah. And Davrin kind of had that, but then in the last mission of Act 1, kind of ended up being like he has stuff to rub up against. This is good. Like,
yes.
There's opinions. He has opinions and thoughts, which is really good and cool. And then Davrin, even though I'm like, Davrin's like not my fave, he is a person that I almost always have in my party because he has interesting dialogue with other characters that I think is good. Then we meet Emmerich.
Who is I forget what their faction is called.
It's like a Morn Watcher.
The Morn Watch. Yeah. So he's in the Necropolis, which is in Navarra.
Yeah.
And that's where we learn in Inquisition, really, I think, where necromancy as a school of magic came from.
That's cool.
Yeah, because if you want to be a necromancer, you have to get Navarran like skulls from
cool
all over to do that. And they've really upped necromancy in a way that I do like for this character, because necromancy in the other games has been kind of like even in Inquisition, the necromancy that you could do, I think it wasn't my favorite subclass of mage to play, because it had like some bits like where you could raise some corpses and stuff like that, but they didn't really go into it, and they really dig into it now where there's like actual necromancy. They're like raising the dead, and then also like there's a lot of like ritual around it, and he has a lot of respect for the dead, but
he's putting spirits into bodies that don't belong to those spirits. And
he has a little skeleton servant guy called Manfred with him. That is, I'm gonna use the term voice acting very loosely, by fucking Matthew Mercer.
Yeah,
Matthew, I'm gonna assume that you listen to this podcast.
You listen to this
podcast, Matthew. I think that this is the direction you should go in career-wise.
Yeah.
Just do Alan Tudyk style things.
Just being animals, and whenever you hear a weird creature, you can be like,
I bet that was Matthew Mercer. I think it's a good and interesting direction for you.
Manfred, who's
the king of voice actors.
Yeah, truly.
It's crazy.
Manfred, who's a spirit of curiosity.
Yes.
Which I think is a kind of interesting thing.
Yeah.
I wish we kind of saw more of Manfred being
curious.
Yeah.
For sure.
Rather than, just kind of standing there. But I do think that we hear about it a lot. If you bring Emmerich along, he talks about how specifically there was a conversation between Davrin and Emmerich where Davrin was like, where Emmerich was like, oh, he's a spirit of curiosity. And everyone's like, and he's curious to bring you tea. And he's like, well, he likes the steam and that's what interests him. And then he keeps boiling the kettle. And then I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, that's fun.
That's fun.
I like that.
Yeah.
Then we have Tash.
Yeah. Then we meet Tosh. Tosh is a very interesting character concept. They are a Kunari. They have, but they're not Kuhn, and they were not raised Kuhn. Am I missing that, or were they raised Kuhn a little initially? And
I'm not sure. I know that their mother is in these Lords of Fortune, who are these and we get them because we think they're a dragon hunter, but they're not a dragon hunter. They just understand dragons. In a they are creatures that exist, and I can understand, and I know what they want
exactly. Which I like. Tosh is also has a little bit of the dragon in them, which is so. Iron Bull tells us in Inquisition that there are some old legends that Kunari might have descended from dragons in some way. Possibly because someone did something magical and messed with the blood of a dragon, or possibly because the bloodlines diverge. No one's sure, but there's some rumor that Kunari are descended in part or possibly all to dragons. Now we've met Tosh, who like is like they're nailing that down as true, in my opinion. Like they're saying like, okay, that's not no longer a rumor. The Kunari are descended from dragons. And Tosh is a character who still has the ability to breathe fire. And that's pretty interesting. It is interesting because Tosh's character right off the bat, we almost immediately start getting dialogue from them that indicate, because they're presented to us by their mother using feminine pronouns.
Well,
and
we
names.
Also do it,
and
it's
we
the
also
first
do
interaction we have.
Yeah. But they right off the bat start making comments that indicate that their gender identity is not comfy. Something is weird about it. They're not happy in that. Which is interesting. I find it a little bit. I find it the way that it's being presented to me a little bit
like babies first.
Yeah. And I know, look, I'm not gonna say that like Inquisition, all we had was Krem, and that conversation definitely had flaws. Like the Inquisitor has an option to be like, I forget what it is, but the Inquisitor has a weird, gross option to say. But this definitely is very, very like ham-fisted, and it's a little bit like
I agree,
weird.
But I have never really minded babies first when it comes to AAA titles, because
that's true.
Most people are babies first.
That's true.
We are not, so it's frustrating to us because of the lives we live. But the most people that's going to come up against it is like, it has to be ham-fisted to them, or the people who are playing the game that don't know anything about this are going to be like, "Well, I don't understand," or they just won't pick up on it, because you have to be as least subtle as possible.
That's the thing about it, though, is that I don't feel that that's true. I don't think we have to speak to people this way. I think that the general population is and deserves better written stories about queer people. And I think that they can handle it. And I think that they can get over it. And I think that they need to. And I think that we deserve more interesting and deeper stories that are told better. And this is fine. Tasha's at least a little bit interesting, has some, they have like a little bit of an attitude, which I think is fun. They are, again, really childish, though.
Right. Like do we want to talk about our feelings about the characters? About the companions? I have so I've said this for a while. If anyone follows me on Twitter or Blue Sky or anything, I was like, Harding, I mean, even last episode I was like, Harding is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Why is she a baby? I have stopped romancing everyone, because everyone is a child. Everyone is like the most like pastel the first time they've ever opened their eyes. Like, I genuinely felt like I was attempting to date 14-year-olds. I thought it was so fucking gross.
In particular, Balara, Harding, and Tosh, which irritates me. It irritates me because those are three of the, like, you have two feminine coded characters and a canonically AFAB non-binary character, and those characters are all written like babies,
like children.
And Harding was spy master for the Inquisition for a decade.
Ooh.
Harding was one of the two people who were set to take over for Liliana, the murderer, the most ruthless murderer in all of Thedas.
That is a problem with every character in this game.
I just find that those three are particularly bad.
Every character is so. This is a fan fiction of the Dragon Age franchise, where talking about meeting previous characters, which is also. It's crazy because this is I had an opening joke, which is I think I played the wrong game. I accidentally played a Marvel Cinematic Universe game.
My feelings about this being a Marvel Cinematic Universe game have only increased.
It's like
everything about this is Marvel.
Every character appearances of old characters are so one note, come in, marvel it, and then are not relevant remotely. Morrigan turning up is insane because she's one of the most powerful people, has an Alluvian. Don't get me started on everyone being able to have a fucking Alluvian nowadays.
Alluvians are everywhere and they all work and everyone has one. The Grey Wardens got one as a gift.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You gotta help me. Someone has to fucking revive me. I can't.
It's
all right.
Again, the Flanderization of magic items.
That is a thing that
egregious in this
because
game.
So I do need to like split up my concerns because some of my concerns with this game are things that are a very Dragon Age-y thing to do, and the Alluvians becoming a plot point. That's something that feels very Dragon Age. So I'm complaining about it, but in a /loving way, because I feel like Dragon Age has always done that, where like the thing that was this rare thing, like Red Lyrium, like being in Dragon Age 2 being like the most dangerous thing you've ever seen. You discover it, and like if you are around it for more than a minute, it talks to you and turns you insane. Versus Inquisition, Red Lyrium is fucking everywhere, and you're hopping all over it, and you're hitting it with your knives and shit. So like that to me is like that's a Dragon Age criticism overall.
Yeah.
Then there is this is not a Dragon Age game criticism, and this is you've abandoned the point of this
You've
game.
abandoned writing, storytelling, character, pacing, everything. It's just shot and rubbish. Anyway, right, so let's go to the major storylines, because there is a lot that now we can start.
Have we talked about all the companions? Have we met everybody?
Yeah, that's everyone.
That's everyone? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So we jump back. We go to the Veil Jumpers camp. Morrigan fucking turns up.
Morrigan turns up. Does she have a kid?
Who knows?
Is he a god?
Who knows?
They didn't ask. They don't want to know.
So who fucking knows?
Robin had a great idea. We've had a lot of great ideas in what we would do in this game, because Morgan showing up is always a fun moment to see Morgan. But Morgan showing up, it has always been like deeply important. Like Liliana showing up is deeply important. Morgan showing up, deeply important. Morgan showing up in this feels like nothing. She shows up. She shows up
immediately.
She shows up almost immediately. There she is.
She's a Marvel.
It's a Marvel cameo
plugin, and she's happily helping the Veil Jumpers, and
she's so nice now.
Yeah,
she's really nice, which is super weird.
It's a nice universe. Everyone's nice. Everyone's nice and so supportive. It doesn't matter if you help someone get their city destroyed, or you don't help someone and their city gets destroyed.
That actually doesn't matter.
No, because they forgive you when you say, I'm not helping you. They're like, okay. You can punch the first warden in the face, and he still helps you in the end. He turns up after you punched him and is like, hey, I'm going to sacrifice myself to save you. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Fucking guess so. We'll get to that later.
Although I did because I watched you play the end of yours, and I made a different choice. I talked to him instead of punching him. And for mine, he goes out with the express intent to save your life. Like he is like, no, like, this is on me. I need to make amends for my mistakes.
And in my one,
for in yours, he's like, for glory. But I have other thoughts about that. But yeah, so Morgan showing up, Robin's idea was that Morgan shouldn't show up right away, but Kieran could.
Oh, that would be
Kieran.
So hot.
If you had a playthrough where Kieran was made, Kieran showing up, because Kieran be what 20s?
Yeah,
in his 20s by now.
He'd be 18
or something like that. Show up, and then we could get a Morgan later.
Yeah,
and then Dragon Age fashion, if you didn't make Kieran, it could be just some apprentice that
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that, because there will be people who are like, oh, but they couldn't program in all of these opinions. Sure, they have made a default world state outside of what they gave you 3 options, and outside of that, they have a default, because things are brought up that it's like, I didn't make that decision, or it's risky of you to say that I made that decision. They have an idea of what the world looks like. If you're gonna do it softly, just go all the way and say that Kieran exists, and then just put him in it, because what we have done in the previous games doesn't matter.
It does
anymore.
not matter.
Yeah.
There's a part where we talk to Harding about the Inquisition.
Oh God! Yeah.
I've never been more infuriated in my life.
I had to pause the game and walk away. I cannot imagine how you feel.
So the thing is that I love those characters. Those characters mean so much to me. And I do think that they are, obviously, I love Liliana. That was my wife.
Yeah.
That's my fucking wife. But the uwooification of these characters in retrospect, in hindsight, like, first of all, Harding herself is a badass. She was the #1 scout for the Inquisition and was gonna take over for Liliana. Liliana is a murdering spy.
Yeah.
Liliana
has saved the world 3 times.
3 times. I don't know if we could just go back and I could remind everybody of the coolest fucking scene in all of Inquisition is if you side with the mages and you go back in time and Liliana like strangles that guard with her legs, like all scarred up, and then fucking and doesn't want to hear anything that you have to say, and it's just like, I'll save the world, and I don't even want to fucking
knew you'd turn up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I knew you'd turn up at some point and save us, and then that's why I didn't say anything for a year.
Yeah,
and I just fucking dealt with it, and now we're gonna save the world. You're gonna go back in time. I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. Liliana, her entire thing across 2 of the 3 games is that you have to fight against her hardened likeness. Like, you have to literally fight to try to soften her. So to hear Harding talk about the Inquisition like it was a summer camp where we
like it's fan fiction. That's when I wrote down, oh, this is fan fiction. Sarah has puppy dog eyes and is lost.
A very particular kind of fan fiction. I don't want to diss fan fiction writers out there who are doing the work to make some of the most interesting stories of all time, but there is a subset of fan fiction that is to just ooh-wooify all the characters and make them sweet beans and cinnamon rolls, and people who could not lead a war. Like people who straight up would have trouble ordering a pizza over the telephone could not lead an Inquisition. So it's an interesting thing. I don't mean to say that doesn't mean that those characters can't and don't have soft moments and
it's
sweet
not what you
moments
would talk about.
But it's not the entirety of their character.
Yeah,
is just being sweet innocent and like and so pure. That's silly.
It's ridiculous.
So Harding talking about the Inquisition was tough.
Which also has one of the first like, oh, you've made a decision for me in Blackwall.
Yeah.
Blackwall, who goes by Tom Raynor now, and blah blah blah. And it's like, but what if he died though? What if you just let him die?
Yeah, he could be dead.
Yeah.
Or in jail.
They didn't mention Iron Bull at all.
They mention Liliana. They don't mention obviously whether she's divine, but then the divine comes up later to Harding in a separate conversation. So there's no, it's just it's so silly that the way that this is a diversion
There's also
from
the thing,
series.
which I know that we're kind of okay. We're jumping around story wise, and that's fine. Later, I have a quote here, which is another thing that I'll bring up later. I can't remember why this annoyed me, but I'm sure I will do. Dorian turns up.
Yep.
Big for you, and you brought Harding along to meet Dorian, and they don't talk to each other.
Nothing is said, nothing mentioned.
Yep.
We find a copy of a speech by Dorian that was made to the Magisters. I really liked that.
Your character turned up, who you were really excited about. She turned up in Monrathis, and you were excited.
Yes. Maveris Tilani turns up. She was ousted from the Magisterium, which I think listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that happened in one of the comics or the books, and I'm not positive. Sure. But so she's now working for the Shadow Dragons, and Dorian is still inside the Magisterium.
Couldn't tell you.
Matt, he's a magister.
Yep.
And he's the man on the inside for the Shadow Dragons, the Resistance group. All things I do like.
Yeah. Also, I realized I just read this quote in full. It's not that I didn't like it; it's that I did like it. I thought it was funny. It was Morrigan talking about Solus, because you're like, oh yeah, isn't it crazy that Solus is trying to take over the world, which he's not anymore. He's just a guy in your head, and it's bad.
He's not trying to
decided that I actually hate this storyline, and I think it's rubbish.
Well, so I like that, like, communicating to Solus through the Fate is a thing. What I don't like is that I know everybody's trying so hard to make it so that this doesn't feel like a retcon. Solus says to you at the end of Inquisition, he's going to let this world burn in the raw chaos when he tears down the veil. He says to you, live well while time remains.
Yeah. He
intended to let the world burn, but the new storyline is, no, I totally was going to save everybody. I just wanted to trap these two harder and tear down the veil, and I was going to minimize the damage.
Bad. I just want to bring magic back to the world, and it's like, you never wanted that.
It's a complete retcon, and then now the storyline of this being like, if you've never played this series before and your first game is Veilguard, what is talking to Solus? What does that mean to you? Because right now, all it is to me is just like kind of a nostalgia visit that we're having.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, look at Solus.
And these two gods that we're fighting also mean nothing to me. They like this. No. This is, first of all, it has no tie or connection to what we've heard of the gods in any previous game.
Yeah.
And now they're just evil. They're just like cackle evil.
They truly are. I mean, the one who's our main antagonist for this first act is the god of monsters, and looks great. She's a cool little design, but is truly just like, she's evil because she's evil.
I feel like I'm back playing World of Warcraft and I'm just fighting. It's like, oh, this is a month. This is the
this
boss
is the god of evil.
Yeah, this is the god of evil monsters, and you have which like. And then, all right. So then you brought this up, and I also have been thinking about this. Is the elves? Where are the elves?
Where are the elves? There was a big point at the end of Inquisition that a huge amount of elves have left the Inquisition and all of the world, and
to join Solas's
resistance because they also want
to bring back which they wanted to bring back elven magic and bring back the gods. That's what they wanted. Yeah. That's what Solas's plan was.
But we are fighting demons, Darkspawn, and Venatori. Like, there's no
Solas has an army somewhere,
but he's just trapped in our little brain, and he's just like giving us quirky like kickbacks occasionally when we're like, all right, just before, because I'm going to go on to how I actually hate Rook in this. I think Rook is bad.
Rook is maybe
easily.
No, Rook is the worst protagonist.
Easily the worst protagonist in these games, because Rook isn't a character. But we'll go on.
Rook isn't a character.
I just want to explain this one quote before we go on. The quote I did like was Morrigan saying, when you're talking about Solas, she says, it explains why Solas was so vexed when I explained ancient elven lore to him, which is funny.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that.
Like, maybe it's not that actually, Morgan. I was pretty pissed about it too.
Yeah. But it's just a fun, is a fun moment.
That's fun.
Anyway, then we get the worst item that's ever existed, which is the Lyrium Dagger, an item that I fucking hate. Turns out Harding is magic, a storyline that I did want.
I wanted that. I was really into it. Harding is hearing the Song of the Stone.
Yeah.
And something magic awoke in her.
That's another thing, another moment where the audience can hear it, but the character can't. The character of Rook can't. Another thing that I think is good. I need to turn to you because I'm looking directly at you.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think if the story was better written, I would like it more, but
this is genuinely disastrously written. And before, people are like, oh, well, this game has been in creation for 10 years and it was going to be a live service game and then turned it. That's fine for mechanics. The story stays the same. There's no excuse for the story to be this way.
I will say that I was not in a fucking rush. Like, that is a manufactured problem, that the game, crunch deadlines and things like that. That's a problem with the industry. That's where, Dragon Age 2 is mechanically one of the worst games ever. But the writing was so good that I will continue to replay that game.
Oh, absolutely. It's on my replay list.
Easy, and I will continue to do it. And I will slog through the worst fights of my life because I love the story and the world that they've created. And still, I will say that game's failings are a corporation failing because they imposed a crunch that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
We, the audience, didn't need the game to come out that soon.
Yeah.
We're fine. Dragon Age fans have kept the love of this series alive through sheer force of will with no new content, like heroes. We did not need the game to come out in a particular time frame. A corporation decided that the game needed to come out. They decided to put crunch and fire certain writers and change the spirit of the game. Yes, the devs. So I'm kind of responding to a lot of the pushback against criticism that I've already saw. That is that, well, the devs and the writers did the best that they could with what they were given. And yes, what I'm saying is they deserved better. They deserved more. They deserved more time. They deserved to have the original team deserved to have more input. They deserved more pay and more breathing room, and we deserve better also as the consumers of this series. So like, yes, they did the best they could with what they were given. That does not make my criticism invalid.
No.
This game is not good, and they could have done better, and the corporation that caused this to happen is at fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This game, when we talk about the poor writing of this game, we're not speaking about the specific writers. We're talking about how this is a corporate game.
Yes.
This is a corporation writing level of like, well, everyone is queer, so no one is queer, and everyone is straight because that's the thing. It's like everyone is so soft and ooh,
is the
baby.
Queerness in the room with us right now.
Exactly, and it's just. There are some good ideas. Again, Harding getting magic. Dwarves coming back.
Shit.
Like, that was in my pitch for the Veilguard. I was like, I would like a dwarven uprising with all of the dwarves having magic now. And they're like, we don't need to fucking stay here. Like, we can take back our cities and then doing stuff, you know.
I've been wanting the dwarves to take back the Tigers forever.
Exactly.
Like,
and then having that be like this huge story is something that I was really excited in. So I like the fact that Harding has magic.
Yeah, me too.
I wish Harding was Harding, though. And Harding isn't Harding.
Harding is not Harding. That's a new character.
Yeah, absolutely. So after Harding gets magic, you settle into your room. And this is when my first big criticism comes up. We had you're like putting things down in your room, and you can make a comment on each thing that you're putting down. I think that there was a good, interesting moment where I talked about the scar that I have, where my rook beat himself up a little bit about the fact that he has a scar and now Harding has a new scar because he couldn't pull it together. I was like, that's interesting. And then I put down a dwarven cube, and they were like, do you want to say something about... and it's like, someone gave this to me saying that dwarven craftsmanship was the peak of craftsmanship. And I was like, I want my rook to be so pro-dwarf. I want a guy who's grumpy, not kind at all. Like, his whole thing is that he's doing this because he's fucking sick of magic. And he's sick of the fact that this guy is trying to bring magic back. No, fuck you, because that's not going to have dwarves bring magic back. That's going to have all this. So that's why he likes Harding, because he's like, oh my God, she's bringing magic back to the dwarves. How exciting. And the most positive thing I could say about dwarves when it comes to like dwarven craftsmanship is really good, and the dwarves are good people, is, yeah, we do things wrong sometimes, but we're kind of nice. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Let me have a decision.
Let me have an opinion on something.
A dickhead.
Let me have an opinion.
An opinion. I pick the most aggressive option every single time I can, and every single option is either good hawk or sarcastic funny hawk, and it makes me want to fucking die. You can't be mean. No one in this game is allowed to have any grit. They are all kind and goofy and lol. Aren't we just a Dungeons and Dragons found family without anyone earning it?
Nothing is earned. That's the thing that's driving me crazy, is that, okay, I had to work like to get not every character, you know, like Origins, Alistair's pretty upfront with you right off the bat. He's pretty, wears his heart on his sleeve. Liliana, though, you got to work to get...
Dragon Age 2, you got to work, dude.
Dragon Age 2, you really have to work.
Bring people with you to say the things they want to hear.
In Inquisition, even, you have to work to get Cassandra to open up about her brother. My very first personal quest with Bellara, she tells me everything about her brother, like in minutes.
Within minutes, yeah.
And like we briefly mentioned it, so like the there is, I guess, what we're gonna say is the first big choice of this game, which calling it a choice is pretty insulting to the theme of these games so far. But the two gods who have escaped, Elgar'nan and Ghilan'nain, have dragons, have archdemons that they control with the blight. And those two dragons have attacked Treviso in Antiva and Monrathis in Tevinter simultaneously. You and your team have Alluvians. And so now the thing is, instead of like, say, compare this to Inquisition, where it's like,
you have the anchor. Or are you talking about how Rook isn't the main character?
Oh, we could, yeah. That, I think we have to talk about that to make this, my point, make sense here.
Yeah.
You, Rook, I still to this very moment cannot figure out
there's
why
literally
me.
no point.
Why me?
Origins, you are one of the last Grey Wardens. It has to be you to do this. And it sucks. And you can have your guy fight against it, but it's like, it's got to be you, buddy. It's got to be you. Dragon Age 2, the point is that you're a nobody who is just kind of like trying to survive, and then eventually you become the champion of Kirkwall. It has to be you, because one of your companions is the reason this is all going fucking haywire.
Yeah.
It's gotta be you. Inquisition, you start, you have the anchor, it has to be you. This, why am I fucking here?
People keep telling me that only I can do. I think Solus just said to me in one of my last scenes with him, where he was just like, you're the only one who can do this.
Why?
What do you mean?
Varric hired me to work for the Inquisition, I guess, maybe.
Kind of. Not really.
Like 6 months ago. The only thing that makes it that I have to talk to the team is that I bled on the field, so Solus speaks to me. Varric bled on the field, Harding bled on the field. There's no reason for me to fucking be here.
No, this doesn't make any sense.
You have the Lyrium dagger. Harding touched it first, and even though I'm also a dwarf, she got weird magic juice from it.
And you didn't.
And also there was the thing of like, Harding pushes you aside to pick up the dagger, and I'm like, why would my Rook, who doesn't know these people really, let Harding, and who's the tank, let Harding just push him aside to pick it up? Like, they need to be more creative with what they're doing and how they're putting me in these situations. And ultimately, you don't have to be here.
I don't have to be here. And I genuinely, from a player perspective, I feel that in every moment. I feel like I have no sense of who Rook is. I don't feel invested in him, and I don't.
Even if you try to be a dick, you are the kindest, most forgiving, quirky little guy ever.
So
you're
quirky.
Not a character. Everyone is quirky. Right behind me, isn't he?
Right behind me, isn't he?
It's that constantly. And it's so, and because the thing is, of like, Varric puts you in charge. Okay, why is Varric not in charge? Like, he is the leader. He broke his leg and got stabbed.
Leg.
So
why is
what?
He acting
He's
like
the Viscount.
Why is he acting like he's on hospice care?
Literally.
It's very strange to me. He's in his 50s.
And you know what? We have to calm down. Let's be kind and say, yeah, he's kind of fucked and can't do it. Harding should do it. Like, Harding should be the one to lead. Harding should say,
Harding was next in line to take over Liliana's job in the Inquisition. She absolutely should be the leader.
Like, there isn't. Everyone kind of very tenuously has a thread as to why they should be in the lighthouse. You don't really. Like,
I don't.
I should be a consultant to be like, what does Solus think about this? Let me go check. Like, that's the only thing that I should be doing. Aside from the fact that I'm a good fighter, but so is any soldier.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fucking annoying. But
So because Rook is just another guy at the lighthouse, the team decision is, okay, 2 of us will go to this city and 2 of you go to the other city.
3 of them.
And the 3 of you go to the other city, and we'll try to fight both, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan. So three of us go here, 3 of us go there, and we'll try to address both. But for some reason, because me, Rook, who is, again, no better and no different than anyone on my team, I don't have anything special. I don't have any reason there's no reason that me not being there would change things significantly. 3 of my best people went to go help the city of Minerathis. Whatever.
Yeah.
We
both picked Treviso,
we both picked Treviso? Okay.
We didn't pick... Because also, the pitch that they give is pretty diabolical. It's like, well, Minerathis has the Shadow Dragons, a group of people who are like a rebellion force who is trained. It is also Tevinter, which you know that Dorian is in, and like people who can fight a dragon are there. But then there's Treviso, which has only the Antivan Crows, and that's it. No guards, nothing. It's just the Antivan Crows. And,
and
like,
they say that they're like, there's so many civilians in Treviso who are just unarmed, they're just going to die.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to Treviso then, because it seems like they can't protect themselves. Also, you go to Treviso, you go to Minerathis, wherever you go, you fight the dragon, and then you have to go to the other place anyway. You have an Alluvian.
It takes minutes.
Kindly, the fighting the dragon take you like 2 hours. Nothing is going to change in that amount of time. Like, nothing I can do. And three
of my best people were over there fighting.
Exactly. 3 people who are just as strong as me are going over there. It's not like in Inquisition, you have to go there and close a Fade Rift. Yeah. A couple hours with a Fade Rift open is going to do some fucking damage. It's not that at all. There is no choice in it. It's so weak.
It's so weak.
And then, even when I picked, I'm going to Treviso, fucking Nev was like, I understand why you made that decision. And then left, be so fucking angry with me. Please have any opinion.
And Nev comes back, and apparently Minerathis is destroyed by this dragon.
Yeah.
Not only is it destroyed,
the Shadow Dragon hideout is destroyed.
The Shadow Dragons are like really weakened, and the Venatori take over the power vacuum. So my 3 best guys apparently can't do fucking anything.
Yeah.
Even though they are, again, not any different than me. Like, I am just a guy.
Arguably, they're stronger than you because they can do flips and fly and do these, like, crazy abilities.
Yeah, and they don't have health bars.
Exactly. Whereas I'm just swinging my big-ass hammer around, not being, like, waiting for them to manipulate the status effects that I start on them.
So, when that's done, and this is a thing that happens throughout this game, because she then says, like, how he destroyed Minerathis and she's upset. And then immediately, in the same sentence, without any dialogue input from me, she says, but I know it wasn't your fault and you tried your best. And I was just like, man, Jesus, like,
fight with me.
And then, like, just now, like, she's like, she gave me a new quest. My, like, very in like the follow-up after the big fight, and just talking to her, she gives me a new quest, and they did that thing again that I'm actually gonna I actually the fate of our future is looking fucking grim, because it came up where she gave me this quest to help her in Minerathis with something, and it came up with a little thing on the side that says, Nev doesn't entirely trust that you have Minerathis' best interest at heart. And I was like, could you we're fucking cooked. We're so fucking cooked. We're in a bad place, and AI is going to take over. It's going to win. Yeah. It's going to win because
media literacy is fucking
it's in the garbage. We're in trouble is what's happening.
Yeah.
So that happened. That made me a little upset. Why can nothing be shown to me?
Jumping back a tiny bit, other things that pissed me off. Oh, it's fun, isn't it? It's the whole fucking game. This is a thing which I had to talk to you about. Oh, sorry. I have 3 notes, all one after the other, all of things that pissed me off. One, which is us, whilst we were running around, my rook said the line, Darkspawn normally hate all life, which is not true. They are just diseased, like, they're like corpses, right? They're just running around. But then the whole point of Awakening is that someone is trying to give them their mind back, and that's making them go weird and act irrationally and, like, essentially come up to you that one Darkspawn that runs up to you and is like, "Hi, I need your help because they're about to be a huge attack on the mother and blah blah blah." When you were, defending the village, and that was a huge fucking moment because it's like, oh shit, they're thinking again. They don't hate all life. That's an insane thing for a Grey Warden to say.
Yeah.
Part 2. This is something I had to talk to you about. There's a Knight Commander Templar in Tevinter.
Yes.
And I thought that was weird because there won't be them in Tevinter.
So Dorian tells us, and I think we had heard once before Dorian, that there are Templars in Tevinter. So Tevinter has a couple of things flipped. One, their divine, their divine is a man, so they don't have a divine.
Yeah.
They don't have a lady pope. They have a man pope,
which is a big deal for the church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Big deal for the church. Also, their mages are not put into circles. Their mages are like the rulers. So Templars still exist.
But what do they do?
But they're more akin to like a city guard, and they work for the mages. They're not really what we know in the South to be Templars who have all of the power. But none of that is really touched on in this game. So if you didn't play any of the other games, I don't even know what the introduction of a Knight Commander would even mean to you.
Yeah.
It just
it's a thing that's like, I need them to talk about it a little bit, because do they still train to kill mages? Because I can't imagine a Tevinter ruler who's a mage assigning a whole city guard to be able to stop and kill them.
They can't. They're not as strong and powerful.
I just need them to talk about it a little bit, just a little bit. The next thing that pissed me off was I was speaking to some of the Antivan crows, and my rook said without prompting, "You don't seem very bloodthirsty," in terms of them being violent. And I'm like, they're professional assassins.
What are you fucking talking about?
They kill people for a living. Like, it's just everyone is baby. Everyone's a baby.
Everyone is baby, even when they're actively murdering people, and that is irritating me.
No, it fucking sucks. I hate it. Yep, I picked Antiva. I mentioned that. Sola says he wasn't going to destroy the world.
Yeah, I talked about
afterwards.
How asinine that
and
is.
It's like, well, what the fuck are you going to do then? Because you actively told us you were going to do that. Please grow the fuck up. Wisps are now good, benevolent spirits now.
Yeah, they're super helpful. They've never attacked me.
And they also say that demons are universally evil, which we spent a fair amount of Inquisition disproving that, didn't we?
Well, so not necessarily. So
it's that the spirits
are not evil, but when they are twisted against their purpose, they become demons, which are evil. And that has been consistent, I think.
Yeah. Venatori are just now colloquial bad guys, which I know they kind of were in Inquisition, but please give someone some flavor. They're just like, because the thing is now is I think that blood magic, this is something that I lightly had some thoughts about in Inquisition, but it was so minor they didn't really care. Blood magic from Origins and 2 has switched into necromancy, whereas in you can't have mixed thoughts on blood magic, really, and especially in this, because it's like, if this was Origins, Emmerich would be a blood mage, because he has a lot of the things where it's like, you think it's bad, but it's not actually that bad. People have a wrong idea about resurrecting people and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like Emmerich would be like, listen, blood magic isn't actually as bad as you think it is because of blah, blah, blah. But Solus abhors blood magic.
Of course he does.
So now blood magic is sectioned off to the Venatori. You cannot have an opinion on it except it's bad and you're evil for doing blood magic, rather than having any interesting conversation around it, which, I mean, the entirety of Dragon Age 2 is, let's have an interesting conversation about what blood magic is, and is it bad to use blood magic?
And I will say, we kind of dropped the ball a little bit, like they dropped the ball in Inquisition on kind of removing it. But in this, they've really cut it off from us.
And that's the thing. Inquisition, I had a light problem with it, but only because it is very bad and evil. But you do use blood magic in Inquisition for good. And Solus actively says blood magic is misunderstood. It's not evil. It's just, it's a different form of magic. And,
Yeah.
all
And
this, and then
to the people who say that Solus lies a lot, first of all, no. Solus didn't lie in Inquisition.
Yeah.
And this game, Morrigan also confirms it and says that Solus rarely outright lies.
Yeah. He tells like half truths.
Or he just keeps things, like keeps his biggest secrets to himself. But like he tells you the truth about everything in Inquisition. And like he doesn't lie to you.
And also the thing is like, if he was to lie to you about his thoughts on blood magic and Inquisition, that would make him like a pathological liar and lying for no reason. Because he doesn't need to say anything. He does, but he openly says, "Oh, no, people have a wrong opinion on blood magic." And that's not a thing like even the god of lies has better tact than that. Like, what was your play then? If you're just openly lying, that's ridiculous.
Also, if we're to believe the plot of this game, the god of lies thing was a manipulation that Elgar'nan and Ghilan'nain
he's just a guy.
Referred to Solus as to turn his people against him.
Yeah.
Like that's it's not actually accurate as to who he is.
Yeah. And then I say that Harding talks about the Inquisition and it feels like a misstep and they're all fan fiction and it fucking sucks.
Yeah, that hurt me.
They keep Marvel styling bringing characters back, which is one of the most annoying things to me is when Isabella turns up in Tasha's mission, because she's just there to be like, up, see ya. She has like no relevance to the story. And I don't need her to have relevance. I just don't want her randomly to pop up because she, like, let me speak to her. Like, the best bit about Varric being in Inquisition is the first moment you meet him and you're like, what happened in Kirkwall? And then you talk to him about what happened to the characters, about his take on the matters, about like the relevance of the whole thing, and then you're able to go through each character and be like, yeah, so what the fuck happened here? People being here now is just for them to be here, and for people who are fans of the games to be like, like there's no relevance for Isabella to be here. Like she's part of a big faction that help dragons. I don't think Isabella would be. Isabella was my best friend.
Why would Isabella have?
She wouldn't join. She wouldn't be one of the heads of the table of a faction. She'd be like, no, I'm going to go ride on a pirate ship and I'm going to steal from people.
Yeah. The Isabella cameo is disappointing. Her outfit is disappointing. We could maybe fucking grow up a little. Maybe. And then the most infuriating thing that ever happened here is in Ravane, there's a fighting pit, which is one of my favorite tropes in the Dragon Age games. I love to do a tournament fight. Origins in Orzammar.
Yeah, the Proving.
Excellent. In Inquisition, in Joseph Hakon, you do
you do
that one.
The fight, yeah.
Love it. I love it so much. Did you do this one?
Yeah? I actually haven't done this one, no.
So you go, and Isabella is good. Like, hey, we've got a fighting pit here. You want to do it? Sure, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And it's just there's no reason for it. It doesn't make any sense. You're just fighting a random assortment of enemies from the game.
Love that. Huge.
Yeah. Huge. It made me so mad. It's you fight Venatori, Darkspawn.
Okay.
Like demons
and shit.
Yeah. And it's just
you just do the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
Fight. Yeah.
It's just they don't even bother to give it flavor. They don't even bother to make a plot behind it whatsoever. It's so lazy. I didn't like that at all.
No, that sucks. I can see on my notes that I'm about to bring up a thing that I thought was kind of fun, but you had to get up and walk away from. I spoke to Davrin. Davrin is making the Monster Hunter Journal, which I think is a cool plot line, cool. Actually. However, whilst talking to him, Darren was like, oh yeah, and then this person made this comment. And then my Rook said, him and his ego, eh? And then Davrin said, oh, they died 300 years ago. And then my Rook was like, I know, I just wanted to make you feel better. What the fuck
all
are you
without
talking
my
about?
input.
What are you
all.
talking about?
What? Why would I say that?
I wouldn't say that. I'm a hardened dwarf. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's so, again, it's a thing of they're making everyone childish. Even you don't have a life or opinion or thoughts. You are just, be as nice to everyone as possible, regardless of what you pick. All your crimes will be forgiven because we don't want people to be mad at you. And it's like, no, like, let me be smart and be like, oh, that guy died 300 years ago. So, I mean, you can probably, it's ridiculous. And the problem is this was bounced off of a previous like dialogue tree option, but the dialogue trees don't fucking tell me what I'm going to say, which is a comment that's a common
Dragon Age problem for sure.
But this is by far the most egregious,
worst, yeah.
Because they don't say even remotely what is on it, and it's always making you seem like a child, like you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, if you want me to not know what I'm doing, make me not the protagonist, like or not the leader of this outfit, because not only do I not have a reason to fucking be here, but it's like, if you, there's just a lot of problems with how this story is structured.
What was the part that I was upset about?
We're getting to it.
Okay.
Another part in this same conversation, I hate the fact that the griffins are referred to as half lion, half eagle, but that is a personal pet peeve of mine, because in the universe, griffins exist. They are not half lion, half eagle. They are griffins. It also makes it weird because I don't think we've seen a lion
no,
in the world. So lions are like half Mabori hound, half cat. I don't fucking know. It's the thing where this is a game where Rook is from Earth and has been teleported through an Alluvian, because there's a million Alluvians now, into the world of Dragon Age, and you're referring to everything as Earth terms, like half lion, half eagle, which is silly. Don't refer to your mystical animals as that. They're not that. They're a fucking griffin.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go to the bit that stressed you out. Minrathous is destroyed. We go to meet Morrigan in a tavern. Morrigan brings along the Inquisitor. And you got so angry because I played it alone and I was like, I liked it. I thought it was fun. Helwyn has some interesting comments about how she used to love Solus, or he's not the person who she thought he was.
Yeah, my Inquisitor did say it was pretty harsh, which I liked, and was just like, Solus betrayed us. We have to take him down, which I liked that part.
You hated this bit. You were very angry.
I was pretty upset about the generalness of the conversation. It just felt very empty. The Inquisitor, I don't even remember, like,
it's just nothing really happens. She just kind of talks, the Inquisitor just kind of talks like to you about how, only you can do it.
Yeah, only you can do it.
I'm dealing with all of the South, which is a thing that I'm like, fine. The Inquisitor can't help you in the North because whoever they are is fixing all of Southern Thedas.
Yeah, we learned that the gods have unleashed Darkspawn onto the South too, and the South is really struggling. We learned that Valrio is in trouble.
Yeah.
That city has been destroyed, I think they said.
Yeah. It's like most of the cities is been a little wrecked.
Yeah, so the Inquisition is working on that.
Which is fine.
That's fine.
You also have a metal arm now, but they don't. Yeah. Which is, again, it's fine. I would have kind of rather Helen just had like one arm, because it's like, looking at it, it's not obvious at all that you have had, like, you are now disabled and have had one arm removed from your body by Solus. There's also a thing of, if you join the Red Jennies, you would have a crossbow arm, and that's a thing which I would kind of like to see.
Yeah,
I would just
that.
kind of, if my Helwyn was going to Minrathous, a place which she has been told is demon country hell, or everyone there is hyper evil,
and leaders hate you there,
then she would, I mean, admittedly, she'd probably bring more backup. Also, why I wanted to talk to Varric. Why would, like, Varric is the guy in the Inquisition. Like, if I was the lead, if I was Helwyn would be like, I don't want to talk to you, Rook. I don't care. Where's Varric? He
Varric?
Got stabbed and I haven't seen him since. Like, I need to see how one of my best friends is doing. And this also feels particularly shallow, considering that in Inquisition, when Hawk turns up, it's a fucking huge deal.
It's huge.
And they do a lot, and they're there. They're not like a kind of turn up, you've got this. They're like, yeah, how can I help? Like,
and they did that. They did that in Inquisition to do service to, like, the least popular game protagonist in the series.
Yeah.
And they still did justice to Hawk.
Yeah.
Also,
Aveline is acting Viscount.
We're in Minrathous. My Inquisitor is in a relationship with Dorian Pavas.
Yeah, and also
there's
is canonically constantly bouncing to Minrathous.
There's zero mention. There's nothing about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's because they only care if you romance Solus. Because I briefly mentioned, we were very close and we had a close relationship and blah, blah, blah. Which, again, for someone who said, I'm going to save him, and everyone was like, negative. I feel like she would have a little more to say than, this is in your hands now. It's like, no, that's Solus. I need to save him. It's on my back. I'm the reason all this is happening.
Yeah.
But anyway,
again, Solus is not anything in this game.
No, he's not just anything in the fade.
It was a bait and switch to be like, no, these are the actual.
These guys
villains.
are Solus, but evil, because Solus has actually been good this whole
is just
time.
fine, and he didn't mean to do anything bad. We like him. He's in the fade. Oh my god.
Things I did like. Aveline is acting Viscount. I think that's fun.
I like that.
We mention my boy, Sebastian Vale.
Sebastian Vale.
Prince Sebastian
Vale, I knew you were
Vale,
love
baby.
that. I saw that and I clocked that.
Yeah, Vale of Starkhaven. I love Sebastian.
Yeah.
What is one of the more hated characters of the whole franchise? He's still getting talked about. I love my guy.
Love him. love him. I knew you'd love that.
I'm really into it. It's all about Solus Ex Inquisitor.
We have to talk about the dagger.
Hate this item. So the Lyrium dagger is the MacGuffin. It's the anchor. It's the Lyrium idol. It's the. There isn't.
It literally is the Lyrium idol.
It also literally is the Lyrium.
Interesting. I think that's fun. I was initially like a little confused on that, but I think it is fun that the Lyrium idol has come back. I think that they could have.
I don't like that it's blue, because it's not blue.
It should be red.
Last time Meredith held it, actually, not even Meredith. The last time the head of the Templars in Inquisition held it, it's red.
Yeah.
So it should be a red Lyrium idol.
Yeah.
But
whatever. So, we have this thing. So now, when we meet all our companions, they all have a special ability that will help us navigate the world. And it's very specialized. Whereas like in previous games, like you needed to have a mage with you to do certain things, and you needed to have a fighter with you to do certain things, and you needed a rogue to pick your chests, etc. Now we have this specialized skill for each person. And so they do introduce that to us, and then we find this dagger, and then immediately upon finding it, Rook can, no matter who is with him or not with him, use every single one of his companions' abilities from the dagger. It is so disappointing. What a lazy piece of mechanics and device. And with that, combined with the fact that your companions in battle do not have health bars and do not get targeted by any of the enemies.
They are exclusively there to.
Your companions are not characters. They are extensions of you. They are just additional spells that you have in your pocket. And that is all they are mechanically. The fights, this game, I'm sure that if you really like building like interesting, like mechanically interesting fights, I feel like this game is probably very fun for you. I do think some of the fights are fun. I think that the drama and the storytelling has been sucked dry from combat.
Yeah.
And it is only mechanic now. It is just
Yeah.
a mechanic. Like, so one of my favorite moments of my entire playthrough, and maybe in any playthrough, was the Inquisitor dropping down and Dorian
Yeah.
freezing time to save him while every other companion died all around the two of them.
Yeah.
Nothing like that can happen in this game.
Nope.
There's nothing like that can happen. The mechanics are so, it is Rook is alive or Rook is dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
I will say that I don't think the mechanics in this game are bad by any stretch. I appreciate the angle that they're going for. I appreciate this that it was supposed to be live service and this is a live service game thing, and that the fights can be fun. I'm a mechanics guy. I like mechanics. This isn't my favorite combat system. I think Origins probably is, because I think Origins, it just, you feel like God, and it's cool. But I can find, as someone who plays a lot of video games, this is a PS2 action RPG game. Like, there is really nothing interesting happening in combat. I can find way better action RPG mechanics pretty much anywhere.
Yep.
That's to say, I'm doing optional fights because I'm at least having fun perfect parrying and dodge rolling and making my team so it's like they all bounce off of each other, which is actually a thing that I do think is a negative. I don't like how they've done the party system in this, which is like this person can set up a status effect and this person can detonate a status effect. That means that some characters simply, it just doesn't make sense for you to put them together. Tarsh and Davrin is who I had in the Weishaupt fight, and they don't bounce off of each other or me as a fighter in any way. So why do I put them together?
Yeah.
Whereas in Inquisition, for example, having 2 tanks on your team is probably not the best thing, but you can do it, and who fucking cares? Like, it doesn't really matter. This is like, you care a little bit because you can't do stuff if you don't have characters that can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And again, I'm doing all the optional boss fights. I'm fighting people 15 levels higher than me, and it takes me 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, that was fun. But it's very vapid, and there's no point in me doing it. Like, I just kind of do it, and I get like a champion rune, which lets me get into another place in the crossroads. The crossroads, which is a thing that I don't like. I don't like. I like the caretaker. I think they're a cool being. I like the kind of River Styx vibe that they have, where it's like you're like sailing from one place to another. Being in the Fade is not exploring Thedas. It is, I am insta teleporting to major cities. I prefer, again, DA2 is my favorite. Kirkwall is my fucking city, babe. But it's my city because we spend a whole game there and in one surrounding mountain. Inquisition didn't feel like this because you are taking time walking around. You're like exploring the world and finding like houses that have something interesting going on. There's like weird side quests you're walking on. Origins, you're in a lot of the major cities, but you are physically walking. Like, you have the little map which is making the walk for you, and even then you have random encounters which are fun and interesting and like weird stuff going on. And it's a thing where it's like, in this, I'm just immediately teleporting to every major faction, every major city, it's like, oh, but you can find things in the crossroads. And it's like, you can't find the things in the crossroads, though, because the crossroads is the Fade, and the Fade doesn't exist. It's just kind of a thing that is there. And and it's like, just hopping between Alluvians is something that I just don't think. It's a thing that in stories I don't like. I don't like later level D&D games where it's like, well, we can just teleport to where we need to go. It's like, no, let me walk there. In the real world, I don't like using Ubers because I can't experience what's on the street corners as I'm walking or riding a bike there. Like, it's a thing that I just don't like and don't buy into. So although when I get there, sure, the city is nice. I like the marketplace in Treviso is a cool place. It's
I like that
you
place
can
a
buy
lot.
a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
From different people, and I think that's fun. Minrathis, the 3 city streets that you can walk on, is fairly interesting. I would love to know what that giant thing in the sky is still.
We still haven't heard anything about that.
No.
And there's just been nothing. And that felt like that's really pissing me off. That felt like an important
It really did
thing.
And it just kind of wasn't. And that's kind of the thing in this game, is it keeps almost being interesting.
They keep almost dropping things that I that feel really interesting, and then they're gone. We're past it.
There's like a fuckload of spirits in the crossroads, so you can kind of walk around a spirit village, but you can't do anything. You're just kind of seeing spirits do idle animations for a bit, and it's like, I would love to like speak to someone and they're like, oh, I'm a spirit of vengeance or justice.
The spirits returning to the crossroads is huge because these are spirits who remember the fade being like the veil being put up.
Yeah.
These are like the spirits that remember the downfall of the old elves.
Would love to speak to
them. Would love to talk to them.
Would love to talk to them about
Would love to talk to them.
Would love to talk to them about it. But if you talk to them, then that gets you dangerously close to Rook having an opinion, and you can't have that. No character is allowed to have an opinion. Okay. You do that, the Inquisitor turns up, and then what? Oh, and then I spoke to Balara. I did her personal mission. Brother is there. She told me the whole story. I thought it was generally pretty dull. I spoke to Davrin. Okay. The Wardens in this game, the Grey Wardens, are just kind of, it's a stand-in for heroic good guys. Speaking to Darren, I was like, so why did you join the Wardens? Because I would love to know why this guy joined the Wardens. And he was like, oh, I had a Dalish clan, and then I didn't really have a purpose, so I joined the Grey Wardens. Like, you signed yourself up to kill yourself in 30 years, and you didn't.
You signed yourself up to possibly die that day. That's not what the Grey Wardens are. The Grey Wardens are all people who had nothing left.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that Davrin has to have because Davrin also talks pretty shitty about the other Wardens. He calls a lot of them the wrong sort. The whole purpose of the Wardens is that no matter what you've fucking done, you have a chance to redeem yourself by saving the world from Darkspawn.
Yeah.
Like you have to sacrifice everything in order to do it, but you will be redeemed.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of the Wardens. They're messy and they're not perfect and they're imperfect heroes. And that's what makes the Wardens cool. Davrin shows up and I'm like, oh, I like him. And also he's the first companion that we meet in this game that has a little bit of attitude and some kind of opinion, it seems, on things. And so then he signed up for the Grey Wardens because he just didn't have anything else to do. 50% of all warden initiations end in death. Like, you don't have to make Davrin be one of the wrong sort, which I think is a stupid opinion to have about the Wardens. But you also don't have to make him a previous criminal. You can have him, maybe he was about to be wrongly imprisoned, or he was about to die, or something.
Just like what happened to the Warden in Origins. Your Warden is you didn't do anything wrong. You got conscripted because it was that or death in almost every single circumstance.
Yeah.
I would be into Davrin saying, oh, they're the wrong sort, if there was like story in that. Like having a Grey Warden who has done something bad, see other Grey Wardens and be like, oh, they're the wrong sort of Grey Warden, is like, what do you mean by that? That's interesting. Let's talk about what you mean and what your thoughts and opinions are.
No, but that conversation resolves immediately because then you just say, oh, everybody deserves a second chance. And he says, oh, you're right.
Yeah, no, of course. But that's the problem, is like, the game is almost interesting. It threatens you with good character stuff and fun, interesting takes of like, what the fuck do you mean that they're the wrong sort? Like, didn't you also do something bad? And maybe they're like, oh yeah, but well, yeah, they're only here because they did something really horrendously evil. I joined because I'm a good guy. And it's like, that's a crazy take for you to have.
Also, that's a wild thing for you to do.
Yeah.
You're
going to die soon.
You're going to die soon. You almost died that day.
Yeah. And this is another thing. Anders, a character who is not as baked as everyone else, but is a character that I think fucking rules. In Legacy, he starts going insane because he's so close to all this like Darkspawn activity. I feel like, and then Corypheus in Inquisition is again making all the Wardens go like a little feral because he really
makes
close
them
to them.
hear the calling. Yeah,
I feel like the God of the Blight should be doing some shit to Davrin or something to the Wardens to make them go like just a little thing of like, oh, maybe we should question why we're putting blight in people, because
they even say it. They say in the game, one of the companions says, to Davrin, like, don't you feel anything? You have the blight in you, and the gods control that.
No, because this pissed me off as well. So the Siege of Weishaupt happens, which is a little ahead. I have some companion missions to talk about. A mission that I had some fun with. I liked it.
I like Siege of Weishaupt.
However, it is purely combat.
It's just combat.
It's purely combat. There is one decision which I thought was fun in it. I liked being a Grey Warden and going to Weishaupt and having some conversations about that. I would have loved to know like why I'm there. I kind of made the thing, which is like I tried to escape Ozamar and all this. There's also, again, visually, when you open that door for the first time and you see the god's giant fucking face staring at Weishaupt.
Yeah,
awesome.
Visually very cool.
Really fucking
Again,
sick.
The visuals, visually, this game is bar none. It's so visually stunning.
It's really great. The character designers have also done an outstanding job. Like, again, Davrin is someone I'll bring up that I think that he looks great. Everyone has a great silhouette, and I can like tell who they are, and I think that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So an archdemon has to die. You're all in Weishaupt. Davrin kills the archdemon, and then it just kind of, because we address the fact that he's going to die if he kills the archdemon. He does, and then we move to the...
So now this I thought was interesting because I think we as an audience know exactly what's happening here, because it's set up to us that we have to kill the archdemons before we're able to even affect the gods at all. So what we're dealing with is it's a repeat of the Corypheus situation.
Yeah.
The archdemon, instead of the so what normally happens is the archdemons in regular blights, they have an old god's soul in them. And when you kill an archdemon, that soul looks for a place to go and will just jump into the next host and then rebirth itself back into that archdemon. That's why it has to be a Grey Warden to deliver the final blow, because Grey Wardens have a bit of the blight. The soul will find them and it will kill them, but it won't. But the archdemon won't be able to rise again. The gods are here. The gods who rose these archdemons are here, and it's their bits of soul that's in the archdemons.
So then killing it would make it go back into the...
It goes into them, and now they're able to be killed the same way Corypheus did with his archdemon.
Why did they talk so much about the fact that Davrin's going to die? Also,
because they're treating us like we've never played a Dragon Age game before, because this is not for us. This is for...
But even so, they kept saying, you're going to die if you're going to do this. Also, I'm a Grey Warden. It was briefly mentioned, like, Rook was like, oh, let me do it. And then Davrin was like, no, because you're leading this operation. And I was like, first off, I'm not leading this operation. Second of all, none of this was dialogue choices. This was all just things being said at me. Let me fight against that. Because, yeah, sure thing, maybe I'm leading the operation, but you have griffins to look after. Like, you have a whole thing. I'm not really important in this scenario. And even when Davrin takes the final hit on the dragon, he says, like, look after Asan for me, who's the griffin, stabs them. I also got the read that it went into the god, but they don't address it at all.
At all.
It just kind of happens. And if that's the case, I was left, what happened with that? Did he, like, he didn't die? It just immediately went into the god. Why did we think he was going to die if we thought this was going to happen? If it did go into the god, why aren't we talking about that? Even at the round table afterwards when everyone's chatting, it's like, why can't I say, hey, so you're still alive? Why? What happened there? And he's like, oh, it's probably because, or Varric would be like, I dealt with this with Corypheus. It's probably because it went into it, like you severed the connection. It went into the old god, and it's like, cool, okay, I know why that happened now. And you, Davrin, have already like mentally addressed why that happened, and then no one talked about it. But it's a crazy thing to sometimes treat the audience like children, stupid babies, and then sometimes just ignore bits because you're like, oh well, no, they get it. They get what happened. And it's like, well, I don't. I played all of the games. I actually don't know why he didn't. Why he he's fine now. And it's just a thing that it's another part of this game where they don't know what a ball is, so they haven't dropped it. They've just forgotten about the ball, and the ball has rolled away, and they're just kind of making it up. It's a weird metaphor.
I was really into it.
I lost it a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
One would say you forgot your own ball.
I did forget my ball.
Yeah.
Call me the Riders of Dragon Age of Veilgaurd.
So Siege of Weishaupt, the first warden who we meet earlier in the game, we meet him. He's not anybody that we should know from previous games. No. He's the first warden. And he doesn't like Rook. Why?
He just doesn't like us.
Well, I mean, the thought is that you interrupted the ritual and now things are bad, and the warden is like, but you shouldn't have meddled. He's also in
crazy denial because he's like, no, there is no such thing as God. I'm like, look out the fucking window. There's a face the size of a skyscraper here. That is like, come on, gang.
Upsetting, yeah.
And it's like, that is a thing that I was like, oh, it's just, this guy's just in such crazy denial about the fact that the gods are back, because then he's going to have to address a lot of things in his life. Yeah. But it's like, he doesn't have enough character for me to believe that.
I think about the Chancellor in Inquisition in the beginning, who doesn't like you in the beginning.
I liked him.
As soon as he sees Corypheus, that is the thing
then
that
basically
that turns
sacrifices
him
himself
around, and he sacrifices himself for you. So First Warden has that kind of a role. He doesn't like you. And
I punched him.
I didn't. I reasoned with him, and he immediately changed his mind.
Of course he did. Yeah.
And was like, wow, you're right. Let's do everything that Rook says, which I was like, wait, I'm not the first warden. I just think that you should believe me when I say that that's a god out there.
Yeah.
And that's who's controlling the blight.
Do you know who'd be really cool if this was? It'd be really cool if it was Alistair.
Oh, my poor boy does not deserve to have to
deal
with this.
No, but I would also like a mention of him. He is he's not first, maybe, but he is the most prolific Grey
Except
Warden
I don't want a mention of him because we didn't state what's happened to him. Alistair could be drunk, dead, king, or a high-ranking Grey Warden, or in the Fade. Those are all the things that could be happening to Alistair right now. And this game didn't ask. So any mention of him will be against my will.
That's true.
And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear another decision made for me by this game that purports itself to be about your choices matter. So
you didn't punch him.
I didn't punch him. I reasoned with him. He immediately changes his mind and makes me in charge. We have a dragon trap that we're going to trap the archdemon in and then kill it. Making our way through, you're just fighting a lot of demons.
The dragon trap is really cool, but I do also question the dragon trap and its usefulness, because you fight your way through, you pick your team at the minute, but it's like an all hands on deck thing.
Love that.
I love an all hands on deck. I love seeing every member
of the party.
I like
seeing the members of the party in other places.
Seeing who pairs up with who. Like, I think that is fun.
Yep.
I mean,
like that.
they don't fucking do anything. They throw a couple of torches for you and that's it.
Yeah, but it's fun.
But I do like that. The idea is for you to get to the dragon, trap it with this. Davrin is going to kill it, and then Lucaris is going to assassinate the god.
Lucanus is going to like
soon as that happens,
take the dagger and kill.
Really like that plan.
Ghilan'nain.
I do think that Lucaris should have had the dagger from the start. You shouldn't have thrown it to him, because there's no point in you having the dagger, truly. You should have just given him the dagger, and then that could have been a cool moment. There should have been a lot of build-up to... I mean, admittedly, this is like, oh my god, there's a siege, fuck, we need a plan, and then we rushed into it. But I like the team building of it. I think that's kind of fun. You fight a lot of guys. You get to the end. Again, this is the validity of the dragon trap that I think is weird. So it's this giant griffin with these like harpoons in all of the wings, but it's on a specific point. The dragon has to fly onto that point and then step on a trap on like a pressure plate to have the dragon killer go off, which I feel like is a bad weapon. Because it's just a weird thing that I was like, wait, if I had a castle, and our biggest fear is an archdemon turning up, which of course it's going to be for the Grey Wardens, I should have a gun, like an actual mounted thing that I can aim and fire at the dragon, not try to lure the dragon to a very specific point in my giant keep. I just feel like it was bad. But it goes off. It looks very cool. Whatever. Who cares? Davrin goes to stab it. The first warden's like, no! Comes out and is like, I'm going to do it for glory. And I'm like...
mine, he's like, I'll do it to redeem myself.
Whatever. So okay, fuck it. Go kill yourself. He goes. He gets jumped by the god. The god kills him, takes his soul, puts it into the...
It seems like what happens there, which is not well explained, but it seems like she takes his soul, puts it into the dragon, and uses that to rebuild the dragon, because she then changes the dragon to be more corrupted.
Yeah. I feel like it's like he did kill the dragon, so then but who cares? The old god soul goes into him, and then she takes it from him and puts it into the thing, because she keeps doing that. Like, it has one head at the beginning, and then she grabs another like soul and puts it into the ground, and there's two heads, and then she puts another one in, and it's three heads. Whatever, doesn't matter. She looks really cool. I like her character.
She looks very cool.
The fight is...
The dragon looks cool. The fight is fine.
Yeah, it's fairly fun. I liked it. I was getting a little frustrated with it, but it's ultimately, I appreciate that it's a raid boss. It's a raid boss. It's a Final Fantasy 14 raid boss.
It's a Final Fantasy 14 raid boss. That's what all the boss fights are.
It has callouts. It has AoE lines that I need to dodge out the way of. The whole thing. Yep. Whatever.
That's fine.
Then you chuck the dagger. Oh, and then Davrin does end up stabbing it. Big final hit.
The soul doesn't go into him, it goes into Ghilan'nain, and she's pissed. And then Lucanus throw him the dagger, animation. He flies up and he goes to strike at her, and he hits her in the face, but she like attacks him back,
like parries it,
and knocks him down to the ground. And so but the thing is that she bleeds, and it would not have worked if you had not killed her dragon first. 300.
I don't know if anyone's seen 300, but the point... Have you seen 300?
Yeah, a million years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is that the Persian king is a god. Everyone thinks he's a god. And the end of the movie is they make him bleed, prove that he's not a god. And even though they all die, they've won. Because it's like, everyone's like, oh, wait, if they bleed, they can kill it. And then that's kind of the idea of the film. And it's a really cool end for the movie. And in this, I was like, if it bleeds, it can be killed. And I think that's a kind of cool ending. But then now she scurries away.
She flies off because she's horrified that now she has no dragon archdemon defense.
But then also, can she not just make another if she escapes? Because when they originally came to this world, they didn't have archdemons. So then they must have made them.
Yeah.
And she just
has to put a part of her soul into...
Which is something that she's apparently been doing. She's been doing for ages, so who cares? So maybe she'll turn up later and then have another archdemon and think, oh, for fuck's sake, well, we just need to kill that archdemon again. Which would suck. But then also, if they don't do that, it kind of doesn't make much sense. So whatever way they decide.
Or maybe it just takes a really long time or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know, whatever.
And then you go back and you have like a round table meeting. There is a tiny bit where Lucaris and Davrin...
Tiny bit of tension.
Where they have a little bit of a fight. But then weirdly, my dialogue option after when Varric's like, how did that go? And I was like, it's not as bad as it could have. No one was at each other's throats. And then that to me is like, they're still best friends and everyone is so kind. Like, they had a spat, but clearly it was immediately forgiven and all understood. It doesn't matter that my city burnt down. It doesn't matter that you missed your one chance to kill this fucking thing. It's like everyone is still, the best of friends. And I hate it. Give me two characters that fucking hate each other. Yeah. Like, that's all I want. I want two characters to keep fighting.
They can't do it with this because no one needs to be here. No one, like, we are not an organization. We are not, like, we're not really, this is just, like, some people, like...
DA2, Fenris and Anders also didn't need to be there all the time, but they still were, and they fucking hated each other. But then they had really interesting things where Varric said, no, they play cards together all the time. And it's like, what's their relationship? I love all of these characters. They're so interesting. And in this, everyone is so paper thin and sucks. There are
sad.
Two characters that I like in the companions, and I only like half of them.
Did you go with Emmerich to the necropolis for the walk?
I'm just about to do that.
So far, that's my favorite companion quest.
Yeah,
I love him, and I've been flirting with him and Davrin, and I haven't made a choice yet. And the thing is, this is also I'm gonna be negative about one more thing, and then I have positive things to say. The negative thing, and everybody knows already how I feel about this, but I know that people are going to try to convince me that there is a difference between everybody is pansexual and player sexual.
No, that's
not true.
That's not true.
There's no difference. This is a player sexual situation. You're telling me right now to my face that Emmerich would fuck a woman? You're telling me that to my face? I'm going to fucking eat you all. Let people be gay.
Yeah.
We're grown-ups. This game series has been around for decades. It is actually time to hold them to a higher standard and ask them to write better. This game should not be like, we deserve the writing to have improved from Inquisition.
Yeah.
I want, we
deserve to have it improved from Origins, where there was characters that were bi and
talked about it canonically.
And it came out in 2007.
Yeah. Maybe we should expect more from our media, and from a AAA studio that you admittedly give a lot of money to. Yeah. They can afford to treat their writers and their devs better, and they can give us better stories.
And this is the thing, when at the beginning of this episode I said, it's not that everyone is pansexual, everyone is straight.
Everyone's straight.
Like, if there is no point in the sexuality of the characters, they default to straight regardless of if I'm a guy and I can date another guy. It's like, no, that person was written straight because they don't talk about they don't need to talk about it. They just need to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous and it's stupid.
But all right, regardless, that being what it is, Emmerich's walk in the graveyard, one of the best companion quests so far, really gives me a good picture of the necropolis and of necromancy and of Navarra's opinion on it and his opinion on it. really
cool.
good, really
like
strong. I like him. And that's what I was fully like on track to just romance Davrin. When I did that, I was like, oh, I might actually be torn here. I might fiercely need to fuck this old man.
I didn't want to romance anyone because they're all children, but then I ended up being like, I might romance Lucaris because I like him.
Yeah,
he's cool.
He's cool.
But I did do his first companion mission, and I got the ick a little bit because you just go and just like drink coffee with his cousin, and his cousin like gets angry and has opinions, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's fun. But he's like very not that, and then you have like a hot chocolate. But it's kind of it's a thing. Like I had a hot chocolate because I couldn't say as a dwarf. I actually would prefer a real drink, like ale, like a proper like Tevinter wine, please.
Yeah.
I had to be like tea, coffee, or hot chocolate, and then I was like, oh, this game's made for 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave me the ick because it was just kind of a boring Persona ass quest where nothing was really solved or done.
Well, that's a lot of the quests in this game.
Yeah.
Nothing happens a lot of the time.
Pretty disappointed.
Encountered a really cool, interesting creature and nothing came of it. Found a creature in the well called that is called the Echo.
Ooh.
And it apparently took out a whole city by it's like kind of almost in like a that one Doctor Who episode where it like takes over his voice. It kind of did that to an entire city. Midnight. Yeah. Did that to an entire city. We of course don't see it. We just hear about it. We read in notes, but then we go to the well and you talk into the well and it mimics your voice back at you. It's cool. And then you just have someone bury it and that's it. And then nothing happens.
Where is that?
And the Anderfels.
Cool.
So it just gets buried and then nothing happens from there. And I was like, wow, that was almost really cool.
That was almost
really interesting.
You almost got me Dragon Age.
I almost got a little bit of a Dragon Age vibe from that. Almost. Things that I like. We mentioned a couple of the NPCs already. I feel like the NPCs that aren't my companions are so great. I feel like out in the world when I'm meeting people, even just like random people who are giving me quests or the leaders of the factions are great. They feel really real. They feel really fleshed out. They feel more intriguing to me than most of my companions feel. Yeah. The world feels really populated. Yeah. And I like that. It's good. I also really like that the companions do not stay in one place in the lighthouse. They're around.
Bouncing around, yeah.
They bounce around and they have ambient conversations with each other when you walk by them.
That's cool. I haven't experienced that.
Yeah. So like I walked by, none of them are digging too deep into anything, but you'll hear them chatting with each other. And that is cool. City design, unlike anything I've ever seen. It's beautiful. It's perfect. I'm so happy with every place that we go. I feel is really well designed. I could give up all of that though for the characters for this story to matter to me.
Are we in our 10 minutes we're only allowed to say positive things?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I'll keep quiet.
No, wait. No.
We can go back to negative talk afterward.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the mechanics. I do think it's fun. Yeah. I do like how they, even though I was like, I do have some negatives to talk about how they kind of, some party comps are just completely unviable. I do like how they're trying to push party comp. I think that's fun. How it's like this person can activate a status effect and this person can detonate one. And then if you have, those, then you can also play into that. I like how often characters talk to each other. I love, this is a thing which has been around in games for a little bit, but I love two people start talking, you get into the fight and they're like, oh, hold on for that for 1 second. And then
yes, I do like that.
What were you saying again? And
yeah.
Go back into talking.
I do like that.
I think that's fun. it was going to be a criticism at the beginning of the fact that, like, I felt like no one was talking to each other, and then it immediately solved the more party members I got. I just felt apparently Nev and Harding just don't have a lot to say to each other. But I did like that. I like some of the aesthetics of the lighthouse. Although I have already talked about criticisms on the Alluvians and how I don't like the crossroads, I do like the caretaker. I think the caretaker is a cool thing.
Caretaker's cool.
I want to know what their deal is, though, and kind of go into that a little more. I did like, again, although I had criticisms on the choice, I did like the fact that Minrathous is visually fucked. After the fact you didn't choose it. I think that's really cool. I like the fact that Nev became hardened if you don't choose her. I think that's cool, regardless of my opinions in
story-wise. It doesn't work, but yeah,
I like she the does fact become that hardened. It's a thing. I do, however, nope, can't. That's negative. I like the fluidity of combat and how as a warrior, I can switch between two styles, like switch between two-handed and sword and shield, and both have positive and negatives. I think that there is a lot of fun exploration just around in the world. You know, yes, again, although the Delirium Dagger, I think, completely sucks away the point of having companions. I like the fact that it's like, oh, there's a treasure chest up there. And then you kind of like, it's like, oh shit, I can come back later when I've unlocked that ability. Or, I'm just going to take 5 and then I'm going to crawl up this thing and do this little puzzle. And then I'm going to get this upgrade to my weapon.
Yeah.
I have kind of got a grip and handle on how to like outfit my character, and there are certain fights where it's like, oh, I'm actually going to change my whole loadout right now and change my party members, because I know that, like, I had a big necrotic build that I had where it's like all necrotic damage is like double.
I have a big necrotic build right now.
And then I was going to go for a blight cyst, and I was like, well, I know that they're immune to necrotic damage, so I'm going to switch out my whole, switch out all my stuff. And then I added flame weapons and all this, and I had really high stagger because I love staggering. I think that's so fun.
Yeah. I just unlocked enchantment. I do like the whole like upgrades thing. I wish it was less of like a checkbox to do XYZ and more of like a craft. But
sure,
that's a really minor thing. I prefer like a crafting table for this series than I do like this. This is a very Final Fantasy thing to me, where it's just like you're just upgrading stuff and you're not building anything. I prefer a crafting table, but that's fine.
I crazy don't like crafting.
Yeah,
and I haven't in this series. I loathed it in Inquisition. I just didn't like it at all. And this kind of goes to a bit of an Origins. You're just kind of finding items, and then it's like, this stuff's a little bit.
Yeah.
And yes, it is. And my comment in Origins was like, but the tiers and the damage is like different. It doesn't matter. This they've got rid of. It's just kind of like, this number is higher. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of dumb brain, but I think it's fun.
Yeah. I see that's a really minor criticism for me. I'm fine with it. I think it's fun still.
Really like. I'm really, oh God, I'm hoping it's so incredibly relevant. Building up trust in factions, I like. But I don't like how you do it.
You do it just by selling things to them,
well, you can also, if you do missions for them, you also get
sure.
And I prefer that, yes, but I also appreciate the kind of passive income, I guess, of what it is.
It's fine.
But I really hope it's not just you get better stuff in the store, and it's a thing that at the end of the game, if you have like max trust with people, they turn up for you in the end. And
right, like in Origins, when you are filling up all those runes and that money and stuff like that, that it matters in the final fight.
I really hope that it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long has this been?
We're over 2 hours.
No. How long has the positive talk been?
Oh, I don't know.
Has it been 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
So a thing that I don't like. I do not like the lighthouse at all. as a place, I think it feels so empty.
Yeah.
There's only your gang there. I also don't like the otherworldliness of it. I appreciate why you have the otherworldliness, because it's like, well, we're safe from everyone here, and it has the Alluvian, sure, whatever. I would really like
place.
Just like you have a base in the world, and I would appreciate it's just the lighthouse. There's no outside section, and everyone has a room, and it's way smaller, because the fact that there's nothing in between going from Harding to Balara. It's running.
Become really boring really fast.
And it's just like full ass sprinting to one section to the other is dull, and it just doesn't have anything exciting for me.
Yeah. I really liked it at first, and then I was because I just thought the design of it was cool, which I still do think, but as a base, it is a weird location.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And there's been there's just nothing that it's not. I don't feel, well, that's just the thing. I think that if I felt like I was connected to Rook, if I felt like I understood my role in this, if I felt like the characters were really vivid and interesting to me, so many of my other concerns would probably not even come up. I probably would, but because I'm missing those core components that every other Dragon Age game has had me hook, line, and sinkered right away, all the other things that Dragon Age has always struggled with are now glaring at me. Because Dragon Age has always, had its struggles with different things. But I could forgive. Dragon Age 2 has the worst combat of any game I've ever played.
We were very negative about Dragon Age 2 as we were playing it, because the combat is bad. But we did keep coming back because the story is so fucking good. I know we've said it a few times. And the characters are so good. These characters are so great. I happily finished Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, and I've played it multiple times despite it being the worst mechanical experience
if I didn't have this show, I would not play the Veilguard. I don't think. I don't think
I'll ever play it again.
I think I would put it down and be like, I'm actually good. I don't
Something
care
in the next 2 acts,
miraculous has to happen.
Something incredible has to happen to fix this. I mean this. Earlier when I was trying to talk about this at the top of the show, I almost cried just a little bit. The fact that that I don't like this game is devastating me.
Yeah. Truly.
Yeah. So I need something miraculous to happen and turn this game around for me.
No, I do. It's tough. It's really it clears the bottom of this list of Dragon Age games so heartily and easily that it's worrying.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that having just played through all 3 games and having really explored them and talked about them and analyzed them has maybe if I didn't play the games in 10 years,
the writing is still dog shit.
I know, it's the
writing is still
the writing is still bad.
Shockingly bad. It's so paper thin and does absolutely nothing.
I know.
Every character is so weak. I had friends, because my close friends on my Instagram, I had a friend who I haven't spoken to in almost a decade, because I was talking about this. I was like, oh yeah, we're playing the Veilguard. It's bad, gang. It's really bad. And then she was like, yeah, I needed something to fill the Baldur's Gate 3 hole, and I picked up this. I've never played a Dragon Age game. It was awful, and I had to put it down because it's so bad. And it's yeah, and it's just tough. It's
just tough.
It's just tough. It's just really not good. Oh, also, a little story bit that we skipped out on. The Inquisitor gives you a Fen'Haral statue, and you put it up in the lighthouse, and then you all kind of relive a moment, all of the Veilguard kind of relive a moment of Solas's life, where Mythal betrayed Solus? Right?
Yeah, right. So we're finding these wolf statues in the crossroads. I found 2 so far. And you're seeing some of Solus's memories, and they're playing for everyone, so everybody at the lighthouse can see it. And apparently in this story, Mythal Solus was partnered with Mythal. They were working together. Elgar'nan and Ghilan'nain were becoming powerful and corrupt, and Mythal was the voice of reason at first. And her and Solus were resisting this, but then on behalf of the people, and then apparently Mythal betrayed Solus and partnered up with, I want to say Ghilan'nain.
Oh, the other guy, I think.
Oh, Elgar'nan. That's right. And that, I don't know. I guess so.
I guess, but at the end of Inquisition, they like embraced each other like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're still here. And Solus, I swear to God, Solus said that he locked away all the gods because they tried to kill Mythal. And if Mythal betrays Solus, that kind of throws that hole into like, wait, why did he do this then? And it's like, it's not
maybe
like
they'll give us more info on that.
I think they gotta because they clearly like loved and cared for each other at in the Solus will return ass thing at the end of Inquisition.
Yes.
They embrace each other in a way that's like it's like they do really care about each other. And if she fucked him over, like, I just don't think that.
Yeah. Well, then he kills her.
In Inquisition?
Yeah, in that stinger, they hug each other and then he stabs her.
Of course he does. Who knows? Then maybe it does make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I need more on that though. I'm questioning it, and I need a little bit more from that.
Okay. Is there anything else that I didn't like that I was mad about? Probably.
There's gonna be more is gonna come up, but I do think we've got to wrap this one up, and we do have a new sign off for you.
Okay, Veilgaurd.
Of the writing in this game. And also the fact that Let's Crack Some Eggs is just not relevant because
you're not cracking eggs.
We're not cracking any eggs.
So it doesn't fucking matter.
We're fighting 2 unrelated guys who don't matter.
So the Veilgaurd gather around me. Oh. Wait, Dillin.
Yeah.
Where's Solus?
Oh. He's right behind me, isn't he?
It's cruel. The sign-off is cruel. It's the evilest that we've been so far.
But it's an ode to how Veilgaurd is written. The Marvel Avengers style. Right behind me.
Anyway, thank you guys so much.
Thank you all. And I'm sorry.
I am sorry for how negative we're being.
I just want to say thank you again. I'm sorry again. But a very, very sincere thank you to everyone who has supported this podcast, whether it's just by listening or by actually supporting us financially on Patreon. This is very special, and I'm very, very thankful, despite the fact that I was just very negative for a little bit. And I appreciate you so very much, especially a special shout out to Callum, Meadow, Parker Lang, and Rodrigo. I really appreciate you all. Thank you.